And about 5 weeks ago, I had a beautiful, healthy baby girl.
I'm excited for this week's video because I'm back with another story of hope. She was 42 years old. Her AMH was critically low. Her cycles were running 60 days. She's already had 2 miscarriages, both chromosomal. And when she reached out to the IVF clinics asking for help, they turned her away. Not because she didn't try hard enough, because her numbers made her not a good candidate. Let that sink in for a minute. A woman who desperately wants a baby, who has already been through a loss, goes to the very doctors who are supposed to help her and gets told, "We don't want to take your case." That is the reality for a lot of women with low AMH and over 40. The conventional fertility world looks at your numbers, decides what's worth their time, and in this case, sends her home. Jessica didn't accept that answer, and today she's holding a healthy baby girl. Hi, I'm Dr. Marc Sklar, the fertility expert. I've been helping women get pregnant for over 24 years, and today Jessica is here to walk us through her entire journey. What she tried, what wasn't working, what we found, and what finally changed everything for her. If you've been told your numbers are too low, your age is too high, or IVF is your only option, this video is for you. And before we dive in, if you want my free Improve Your Egg Quality Guide, the same guide my HOPE members use to start improving their egg health in 90 days, just comment the word guide below and I'll send it to you. Or you can go to the link in the description to get it. It's free. Let's get into it. So now we're going to hear from Jessica. She's going to tell us about her story, and I'm going to interject or chime in from time to time to give you my thoughts, my feedback on her case and what I was thinking at certain times when I was working with her. All right, let's start.
So I'm 42 years old. At 38, I had my first child. She's 4.5 now. And we had no issue conceiving her. We conceived her within about 3 or 4 months. We didn't realize until she was almost a year old that she had a very, very rare chromosomal abnormality disorder. My husband and I don't have any history of that personally, so it wasn't something genetically we passed on. It was just a very much a random, unfortunate event. So she is disabled and had always wanted to have more children, but obviously we're very nervous. Waited about a year until after she, we had the diagnosis, and then we started to try to conceive again because we knew we wanted more children. But we had a really, really hard time. At the same time, my numbers were not looking so good. So my AMH was quite low. My FSH was really low. I was having hot flashes. I was having what I thought was going to be early menopause. And it didn't really make sense to me because my grandmother had a baby at 40. And so I didn't ever think that I had limited time, but I started to think, actually, we missed the boat. I had contacted a number of different IVF clinics to see if they could help us, and also they could do screening to make sure that the egg quality is good so we don't have another child that has any issues. But I was told basically they're so focused on success rates that, oh, you're not a good candidate.
So I'm gonna stop here for just a second. She already had a child. The fertility clinics now know she's had a child. Theoretically, in their situation, because you've already had one, the next go around should be easier, okay? The main reason she wanted to do IVF was because she wanted to make sure she could do some genetic testing to confirm that they weren't going to have the same issues with their second child as they do with their first, right? All reasonable. But they didn't want to work with her, right? You just heard her say that. Okay, we'll keep hearing from her.
I was devastated. I started watching Dr. Marc's videos on YouTube just to empower myself, but to learn. Decided to take a bit of a punt, a bit of a risk for us, and try out his program. I hadn't known anyone, hadn't heard anything about it. I just met with him and said, okay, I'm going to give this my all. What I liked about it is he didn't label me of, oh, you're too old, or you've got this, or you've got that, which I was so used to. He was very positive about it without being over-promising. So we started that probably about 2 years ago. I was on the course following it religiously, probably to the point where it was causing me a bit of stress, because it is a lot when you get, okay, you got to do, your acupuncture. And then I hit a period of time of actually, I need to just look at my stress levels. And Dr. Marc said this as well. So I changed jobs. to reduce my stress level, I started being really cognizant about the type of material I'd watch, shows that I'd watch that would raise my cortisol levels. If the program was causing me too much stress, I gave myself some leeway in terms of actually just do what feels right or do what's manageable for now.
I'm going to pause there. So yes, one of the biggest variables, whether it comes from some of the things that I asked Jessica to do or others, or from the world we live in, is stress. You've heard me talk about this endlessly, right? I'm not an advocate always for asking members to change their profession or their job. That's not at the top of my list. But that was something that Jessica came to on her own, and I was in support of it if she was on board with that. Even though I have a list of things that I wanted her to do, one of the things that we had discussed was maybe sometimes doing enough is good enough, right? Like you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do all the things. Maybe you've heard me say that here before. But that was something that I stressed with her as well, because even though she was meticulous and doing great with all the things, it was causing her a little bit too much stress. And this is something I speak to my members about as well. Like, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. And that was one of the messages that I tried to drive home with her a little bit further into the program, because I wanted progress. She was doing great. Now let's ease up a little bit. We don't have to be so controlling over every aspect of our life or what we're doing.
And I went from having kind of 60-day cycles, really kind of not ideal labs, to beginning to see little bits of progress here and there. However, I was still doubtful up until basically the moment I conceived. I think the biggest turning point for me was on a spiritual level. Like I kind of began to say, universe, am I doing the right thing? And I know it sounds a bit maybe woo-woo for some, or maybe not woo-woo enough for others who are quite religious. But for me, I kind of said, give me some signs that what I'm doing, I'm on the right path to keep going. Because emotionally, physically, and then also with a child with additional needs, it's incredibly taxing. I will say as well, during this period, I had 2 miscarriages. I missed out that point. I had 2 miscarriages before I started Dr. Marc's program. We had the testing done, and they were additional chromosomal abnormalities not related to what my daughter had. So that suggests either an A quality issue or a sperm quality issue. So after the devastating news of my daughter and 2, losses, spiritually, emotionally, physically, I was in a place of quite low, thinking it wasn't going to happen. And I started just to look for signs and little confirmations, knowing maybe it's in my mind or maybe it's the wider universe, but trusting that, okay, I keep going. And that, I think, was a real huge weight off, a stress off my shoulders. And I had never really done that part of the program before, where I was like, okay, well, just looking for little reassurances, little synchronicities in life.
So I'll pause her for just a moment. I love that last point, but I'm going to go before that first. She had mentioned that her cycles were long. They were like 60 days, and her hormone levels weren't ideal and optimal. One of the main things that I thought for her that was contributing to those issues, was her stress level. And so that's why it was so important for me to have her back off, even though I think all the things that I asked her to do were important and valuable. If they were contributing to that stress that I thought was one of the major underlying causes for her issues, I didn't want that to be a factor, or reduce it at least. So I asked her to pull back on that. We started to see cycles become a little bit more regular, hormones shifting a little bit more, right? But then this last piece of her kind of asking, we all need reassurances, confirmations that we're on the right path, that we're doing the right thing. Sometimes it's enough. We just have this gut feeling. Sometimes the universe sends us a signal. Like for her, she asked a question, she got a response, and that's what she heard, right? I don't know how many of you have done these things. I find them extremely valuable, as she did. Sometimes we just need to ask a question of the universe and see what comes back, which is what she did. And she felt like she was on the right path. She just needed more time, right? She has a stressful life, stressful family that requires a lot of her attention. So I thought that was an important piece for her, and one that I think also gave her relief and allowed her to let her guard down a little bit more, to tell her, yeah, keep going. Don't stress about it. Keep going. We're going to get there.
And the moment I started doing that, it's like a huge weight came off my shoulders. And I remember telling my husband, I think this is the cycle we're going to conceive on, because all of a sudden my cycle went from being 60 days and to 28, like perfect. And we conceived that cycle. And about 6 weeks ago, well, 5 weeks ago, I had a beautiful, healthy baby girl. No issues. I'm 42 years old. The birth was amazing. It was obviously very worrisome up until the point that until I had her. But she's beautiful, she's happy. And I really do credit the program for not just on the practical level, but the emotional support of going through this journey, which is very intense for a lot of women in similar circumstances.
Yeah. She went from a 60-day cycle where she had a hard time tracking her ovulation, knowing when to try, to having a 20-day cycle, good ovulation, easier to try. That was the cycle she conceived. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And obviously with someone with her history, she's nervous until the baby comes, and she had a beautiful, beautiful little girl. So this was hugely important for her, right? But you just heard her say the support she got. It wasn't just the support in the program, me creating a personalized plan for her. That was a big one. It wasn't just being able to talk to someone. That was also important for her. But it was having someone to lean on, to tell her it was okay to back off, right? When she had questions, she could get answers. And then our community as a whole to be there to support her. So it was multiple variables of the sort of support that she needed and really didn't know that she needed when she started the program.
There were times I wanted to give up. And sometimes I see women on this journey just wanting to throw in the towel because it takes so much out of you. I had a career, so I'm the primary income provider for my family. So I had a career that I was managing. I had my child with disabilities, and then I had my fertility journey. And when I say for your fertility journey is a full-time job, my God, it's a full-time job. And that was even causing me a lot of stress. But I think for me, I think what I would like to say is just to continue to pursue all avenues, and leaning into, for me, the synchronicity bit was really big. I don't know why that was. I don't know what compelled me to feel that way, but I think what it was is just trusting the process, trusting that, believing and shifting, gearing my mind up to believing that you're in a safe space to be pregnant. You will get pregnant. And then I think that naturally has a physiological response, so your body can relax.
100%. I had to stop her here. 100%. When your mind believes you are safe, then your body can feel safe. And if you're under all this stress ongoingly, your body doesn't feel like it's a safe place to conceive a child. She was the full-time and primary breadwinner. She was working full-time. She was taking care of a child with disabilities. And she was also on her fertility journey, which she herself said was a full-time job for her. That's all very stressful, right? So her brain was saying, not now. It's not the right time. It's not safe. That's what we allowed her to do, was tell her brain that it was safe. She was able to take a breath and relax. Her body felt safe. And then she was able to conceive in that cycle.
So the supplements and everything else, the program does improve things, but it can only take you so far. For me personally, the tipping point was the emotional, kind of spiritual side of things. My advice would be to kind of look at that from a holistic perspective, and where things get really, really stressful, where your fertility journey starts to work against you, where you're kind of just, in tears, or you're overwhelmed, or you're feeling like, I can't sustain this anymore, I want to give up. I think that's the sign of, okay, well, what do you need to tweak actually to make it not, it's going to be a little bit demanding, but to not actually be detrimental to your emotional well-being, which is the complete opposite of what you want on this journey. But I think when I went to Dr. Marc and I was having my hot flashes, and I was having, the numbers didn't seem to be improving, he didn't really falter in terms of, oh, well, you're doing it wrong, which he could have easily said. He kept coming back to, okay, well, let's see what we can do to tweak it. He was very optimistic and solution oriented. And every time I came to him, which what I thought was like a really quite stressful negative indicator, he was very positive. He's very calm. He's very positive. He's very rational. And that kind of was really grounding for me as a starting point. And then it's like, how did then I emulate that simple approach as well within my own journey to be, oh gosh, I'm not perfect this month or this week or whatever. That's okay. And he very much takes that approach, because again, it can turn into its own kind of stressful thing, which is not what you want.
Yeah, look, for every woman, for every couple, situations are different. You know, Jessica needed a combination of things, but that spiritual side, that synchronicity, that trusting and believing in the process and herself, that was, you know, in her words, and I agree with her, that was like the final piece for her, right? That'll open the door. For others, you might be doing fine on that side of things, maybe even a little too much on that, but you need more practical, logistical things that are going to change your hormones, your cycles, change you physically, and improve your health and reproductive function. It really just depends on where you are. What I can tell you is Jessica's words when she said, I'm grounded, I'm rational, I don't get overly concerned too quickly, I'm calm. These are the sorts of things I bring to the table when I support couples. It's valid. That's exactly who I am. What you see here is who I am. And I take a lot of pride in that because it's real. Okay. And that's what we need. We need grounded, calm, critical thinkers to support you through the process and allow you to stay grounded through your fertility journey. And that's what I bring to the table with myself and my HOPE coaching program to support couples like you and Jessica to achieve the results that she got. If you've been told infertility is unexplained or that you're not a good candidate for IVF with your own eggs, that is not the end of your story. That is a beginning. It's the beginning of a different kind of investigation, one that asks better questions, runs different tests, and actually takes the time to listen to what your body has been trying to tell you. Your fertility is not broken. It is waiting to be understood. And you don't have to figure this out alone. You don't have to keep trying different things every month and hoping, praying something sticks. You deserve a real plan. You deserve real answers, and you deserve a team that is invested in your success. So click the link below to apply for a free personalized fertility assessment with my team. This is a real one-on-one call where we go through your specific case, uncover what's been missed, and map out a clear, natural plan for moving forward. So if you want to have me as your fertility coach in your corner, the link to book your assessment is in that description below. Don't wait on this. Your fertility journey doesn't have to be this hard, and you don't have to do it alone. Jessica didn't. Spots are limited because there are only so many hours in the day, so please don't wait on this. If you're serious about getting answers, now is the time. Let's figure this out together, and let's make your dream of motherhood a reality. Until the next video, stay fertile and stay hopeful.